Well, good morning, everybody. It's so wonderful to see you here for our 5th Project Independence Aging in Place Conference. I have it from good word. The breakfast was actually delicious. So thank you, Harbor Links, for doing the amazing job that you do anytime we have something here. So, your presence here is really a reflection of the town and Project Independence and the dedicated staff behind everything that Project Independence has to offer our seniors in the town of North Hempstead. North Hempstead genuinely cares about each and every senior, and I'd say we spend every day trying to make sure that we're finding different ways to reach out, to connect, and I think the theme of today's expo, Operation Project Independence Connect, is so important because it's about trying to connect, making sure that we're connecting with you, that you're connecting with the services that you need. And it's aging in place, and I'd like to think we have a lot of years ahead of us of aging in place. We want to make sure that we do it right so that we're all here again and again and again hearing about all the latest things to help us do just that. The strength of Project Independence comes from our partnership with the Health and Human Service organizations, all our local senior groups, and our government agencies. I think the strongest part of Project Independence actually is the fact that every Project Independence group in a community has a Project Independence advisory group. So we're hearing directly from our seniors who are involved with Project Independence, what's going well, what's not going well, because you can try, and just because you try doesn't mean it's going to be right. We need to hear if things need to go in a different direction, and by having the advisory groups, we hear just that. We hear what's on your mind, what you think we're doing that's good, and what you think needs to be done better. Because the minute you think everything is just fine, that's when you have to leave, because it's never all just fine. We always have to be looking for what we can do better, how we can move forward, and that's the goal of all the people who are here working with Project Independence. So I want to especially thank the lady who introduced everything here, our Commissioner of Community Services as well as Department of Services for the Aging, Kimberly Crigolante. Her terrific staff who's here for us all the time. We have some very wonderful speakers today, but I also want to particularly give a shout out to Joe Sledge, because Joe Sledge has been here for us, not only for our seniors, but for our veterans. Joe, I can't keep track of what your title is, but
Just
Joe is
late for dinner.
right. Joe is with Northport VA Hospital, has worked very closely with us to make sure that our veterans are connected with the services that they so justly should have. They've made so many sacrifices for us. We can't say thank you to our veterans often enough. And Joe has been an amazing force in making sure that we do just that. So I know we're going to have 2 panel discussions that are going to cover veterans' benefits and entitlements. And I know all the speakers are going to be wonderful. So I know that we have experts on these panels and should be great sources of information for all of you. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our wonderful sponsors, Northwell Health System, Parker Jewish Institute, AgeWell. Let's hear it for them. They're major sponsors. AARP, Earworks, what'd you say? No, okay. Ronald Fatula, Esquire, Gerwin Family of Healthcare Services, and United Lifeline. And of course, all of the wonderful exhibitors who are here today, I encourage you to visit with them. They'll have great information and some pretty neat giveaways as well. So Project Independence has grown through the years, and while we still offer classic curriculums such as Improving Your Balance and exercise classes, we now also include technology classes called, and I think aptly so, Technology for the Terrified. If you have kids and grandkids, they go onto computers, they have no problem, they're with the smartphones, and we're sitting there going, So we want to make sure that we are able to be in this new world of technology. It's not so new anymore, but it keeps changing, and it's important that we keep up with the changes. We want to make sure everyone who has a smartphone knows how to use it and can take advantage of all the different applications that are on it, because it really opens up a whole world. If you leave here today with any questions about Project Independence, or you'd like to take advantage of Project Independence services, please talk to our Project Independent representatives who are really all around the room and will be here all day. And you can always call 311, ask your question, and someone will get back to you. And visit our website, www.northampsteadny.gov. If you're not a member of Project Independence, sign up. It's really tough. You call up 311 and you say, I want to be a member. It's as simple as that. So we're delighted that you're here. I want to again give a shout out to my colleagues in government, because without their support, we couldn't do any of the things that we do. Again, Councilman Veronica Lurvey, Councilwoman Lee Seaman, Councilman Peter Zuckerman, and our town clerk, I like to say the wonderful Wayne Wink, because they're here today. They want to see what they can do to continue supporting our seniors in the way that is so important and so vital. So thank you for being here. It was great to see you, and hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.
We're going to start the panel group, and actually I'm going to turn it over to Joe Sledge. Joe is the Senior Leadership Assistant in the Director's Office of the VAMC in Northport. And actually Joe was on maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago? Yes. He was on the radio 3 or 4 weeks ago going through all the initiatives that are going on in Northport. So Joe, you're in charge at this point. Thank you.
Good morning. How is everybody today? Good. Glad to hear it. Can I just, from a show of hands, how many of you in the room are veterans who served in the United States Armed Forces? Raise your hands. Thank you very much. How many of you are the family member or caregiver of a United States military veteran? Thank you. I've been with the Northport VA Medical Center for 27 years plus. I'm a U.S. Army veteran myself. I am a peacetime Army veteran, 4 years, serving with the 501st MI Group in Korea and with the CONUS MI Group here in the United States. And it's been my privilege and honor to meet military veterans from across Long Island and the people that care about them. And I have to say that the town of North Hempstead is particularly patriotic in their devotion to military service members and their families. I have to tell you, the relationship with the town of North Hempstead, in our VSO leaders, in the community members, in the wonderful government staff, and in a person, Judy Bosworth, has been significant. And for years now, Supervisor Bosworth and her Veteran Service Organization members, along with our elected officials, have come to Northport VA Medical Center at the holidays with busloads of supplies for our hospitalized veterans and our homeless veterans and our veterans who are struggling financially and in need of support. And so if you have had a part in that collection year after year after year, I want to thank you on behalf of the veterans that have been well served by your generosity and your thoughtfulness. Thank you so much. And Supervisor Bosworth, for having the leadership role there, is greatly appreciated. You know, we're talking about aging in place, and all of us, whether you're a veteran or not, or a caregiver of a veteran or not, have probably been touched by someone who's needed our hands-on support to keep our loved ones at home. That's the goal, right? We want to stay home when we age. And today I've brought with me, or they've brought me with them, 3 very important people who play a very important role in the lives of veterans across Long Island. But before I get to that, I do want to acknowledge that it was at the leadership of Supervisor Bosworth about a year ago, we started rolling out mobile health care in the town of North Hempstead for veterans, particularly senior veterans was the major concern, because it is sometimes very challenging on the Long Island roadways to get to and from the places we need to go. And for the better part of a year now, we have been delivering primary care, podiatry care, and limited physical medicine support to veterans in the town of North Hempstead at Clinton G. Martin Park, And as a result of that initiative, one of our other elected officials, Congressman Swazi, encouraged us to consider providing a mobile care in the town of Glen Cove, and we've been doing that again for a year. Right now, the vehicle's in service, but it will be back at the park on November 6th, and we are just so grateful for the opportunity to expand our services for veterans in the town of North Hempstead. For years and years, we have been working with our Veteran Service Organization leaders and our town supervisor on outreach, making veterans aware of their entitlements and family members aware of the entitlements. And what I would say to you before I turn the microphone over to our staff here is that if you have utilized the VA healthcare system, I hope you're satisfied. If you've been dissatisfied, I hope you will give the VA another opportunity to meet your expectations. There is a lot to be had by going through the VA healthcare system. You need not give up your other healthcare entitlements. It is, for many people, an additional resource, which in many cases helps the veterans in ways that perhaps they couldn't get helped either as full or at all through private care. One area I'm thinking of in particular is the area of hearing aids. Many of our aging veterans require hearing aids. Those who are enrolled in the VA healthcare system and who have hearing aids know that we've actually come a long way in the provision of ear care at Northport. We give veterans high-quality hearing devices, high-tech, and we also have a daily hearing aid clinic for repairs that you can walk in and have them addressed. If transportation is your issue, the Northport VA has partnered with the DAV for the largest transportation program in the country for veterans. Nassau County Veteran Service Agency, likewise, has a fleet of vehicles that they use to transport veterans to and from their VA appointments. So if transportation's been an issue, there are resources. If you've had experiences in the past that the VA was, well, not necessarily your cup of tea, I think it's time to take another look, because the VA does offer a significant amount of services, particularly for our aging veterans, and I hope that you will find out what they are. With me today and I'll start over here at my far right left, is Sharnette Simpson. Sharnette Simpson is a longtime professional nurse at the Northport VA Medical Center. She's held a number of leadership positions. Right now, she is in charge of our home-based primary care program, where a team of your primary care providers, doctors, nurses, nutritionists, social workers, and other supports, perhaps like a physical therapist, go into the home and provide care. Very important job, particularly for veterans who want to stay at home. Sitting next to her right, is Ms. Carrie Schechner. She is a licensed clinical social worker, longtime advocate for veterans at Northport VA and across the island, who is our caregiver support coordinator. If you are a caregiver of a veteran, or if you expect that you will become the caregiver of a veteran, Carrie is the person you want to speak with about what resources are available through VA and through the community that she will help coordinate for veterans aging in place. Finally, right to my immediate left is Ms. Joanne DeMarco. Joanne is really the resident expert at Northport VA Medical Center on veterans' eligibility for health care. If you wonder, am I eligible? Wonder no more, because Joanne can assist you. If you have been ineligible for VA in the past, it doesn't mean you're still ineligible. Things change. Rules change. Laws change. Your circumstances can change. At one time, you may have been told you have no service-connected disabilities and you earn over not only the VA's income threshold, but the HUD geographic income threshold, so I can't help you. If you've retired, if you've had some sort of a financial reversal, you may now be eligible for VA healthcare. Or if you never filled out an application because you were convinced, I don't want to take it away from somebody else, or I was told I make too much money. If you haven't completed an application for VA healthcare, I would strongly encourage you to do so. You may be leaving entitlements on the table that benefit not only you, but your family. Before I hand it off to Joanne, who will lead you through the rest of the presentation, I will also say that recently the Congress and the President have passed legislation that expands the provision of VA-paid community care, which means For those of you who are using the VA, if for some reason the VA cannot see you or provide you with a particular care or service at one of its locations, there are now expanded provisions to provide that at VA expense. One of the most significant changes in the program is the provision of urgent care. If you have a computer, if you're not computer savvy, I'm happy to hang out afterward and tell you about it. But you have now, those of you who are enrolled with the VA and have used the VA within the last 2 years, now have at your disposal another opportunity for care, not at VA, but through one of our partners. They have to be in network with the VA, and it's as if you're going to a VA urgent care clinic. And I'm happy to share more of that with you later, but you can certainly also go on the VA's website and look under Mission Act and Urgent Care. Bottom line, if you haven't connected with VA in a while, reconnect with us so we can let you know what we can do for you. With that, I thank you all the veterans in the room. I thank you for your service and your sacrifices. I know it isn't easy. Those of you who are struggling from war-related injuries or conditions, even particularly in some cases, the unseen ones, the VA can help you. We will help you. And for the family members and the caregivers of veterans, God bless you for what you do, because you are unsung heroes in many ways. Thank you. Joanne DeMarco.
Good morning, everyone. So I'm going to go through this a little bit briefly because I know that PowerPoints can kind of get a little tiresome. So first of all, we want to thank Long Island veterans and your families. We really appreciate everything that you've done for us. So this is just a quick overview of Northport, VA. We belong to the VISN 2 network, which is New York and New Jersey. We are a full-service hospital. We have a community living center, which is a nursing home. We have primary care specialty clinics. We have community-based clinics, which we call CBOCs. Those are out in the community. As you can see on the map, we have Riverhead, Patchogue, Bayshore, East Meadow, Valley Stream, and then our 2 mobile clinics, which are New Hyde Park and Glen Cove, and our main facility in Northport. Our community-based clinics provide primary care, specialty care, limited with podiatry, some physical therapy, and some of the other docs on the move, they call them now. We also provide mental health. We have lab services as well. So the basic rules for VA eligibility, the first rule, which I always tell everybody, is talk with a VA eligibility specialist. If you have a need, ask us and see if the VA can help. A lot of people get told the wrong information just from talking to somebody, and we always want to make sure that you're getting the correct information, so speaking with us is the best way to do that. Veterans who served in the active military, naval, air service, and are separated under any condition other than dishonorable may qualify for VA health care. Current and former service members who were called to active duty other than training, then they may also be eligible for services. And we are expanding some services for veterans that received other than honorable discharges, where they can receive emergency mental health care for up to 90 days while they work on getting their discharge upgraded. So like I was saying, the VA cannot accurately determine eligibility until we actually have an application. So just by talking to somebody, we can't really tell you 100% that you are not eligible. We can tell you with a 95% rating there. But for us, we have a health eligibility center in Atlanta, Georgia, and they are the final say on everything. So we really want everybody to come speak with us, fill out an application, and do it that way. Some people are told that they have to complete a means test. The means test is used to determine if certain veterans qualify for cost-free health care, for non-service connected conditions. Service connected is veterans that received a disability or an injury that was aggravated during the service, and they're receiving compensation from the VA. It's also used to determine if people are going to receive a financial hardship or for some of the special mode transportation or beneficiary travel reimbursements. So veterans that need to do a means test are non-service connected veterans with no other special eligibilities or 0% service connected veterans. Anybody that's receiving a service connection, they're exempt from that. anybody that's receiving a pension, former prisoners of war, Purple Heart, allied beneficiaries, and veterans coming for their compensation and pension exams. And that's only needed to be done the first time that somebody registers. After that, it's automatically done with the IRS. So these are just the different priority groups. So priority group 1 is our veterans that are 50 to 100% service connected, or they're receiving an unemployability rating or permanent and total disability. Priority group 2 is our veterans 30 to 40% disabled. Priority group 3 is our prisoner of war, Purple Heart, Medal of Honor, anybody that was discharged due to a disability, veterans with a 10 to 20% rating, or anybody that is awarded a special eligibility under Title 38. Priority group 4, which is probably our least common but our most important priority group for a lot of veterans that are using us in the system. It's for veterans that are receiving the aid and attendance benefit, which I'll go into a little bit, and the housebound benefit, and for veterans that may be catastrophically disabled. So like Joe was saying earlier about some veterans, in the past they may have been told that their income was too high or that they weren't eligible for care. But now it turns that they are having a condition or a disability that is making them not be able to do their daily living activities. So we can evaluate them for a catastrophically disabled category. If they receive that rating, then there is no copay for doctor visits, there's no copay for medications. So it's our least common, but the one we're trying to increase the most because we feel that a lot of our older veterans are falling into that category. Priority group 5 is our non-service connected veterans or non-compensated veterans with a 0% rating. Anybody receiving a VA pension, or anybody that is on Medicaid.
Joanne, can I just say something?
Yeah.
So just to clarify, Joanne is using a term called service connected, and she's going to get into it later about how to file a claim. When she mentions service connected, that simply means that the VA, the veteran has had a medical condition or a mental health condition that they are disabled by, and they have made a claim to the federal government to be recognized for that disability. When we use the term service-connected, it's in reference to veterans with a service-connected disability rating. All of us who served in the military were in the service, so for those of you that might be a disconnect about service-connected, not service-connected, the service-connected is simply about the veterans who are found to have had a VA-rated disability that they continue to struggle with, and the VA provides, as Joanne notes, compensation or priority status to. Thank you.
Okay. So priority group 6, this is a lot of our veterans that were exposed to different environmental hazards. That could have been Agent Orange, Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987. There was some contaminated drinking water there, so veterans that were stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time frame, they're automatically eligible for services. That would be anybody that was in Persian Gulf after 1990 and up until 1998. And Project 112, or SHAD, Shipboard Hazards, that was the U.S. military was performing different bio tests on some of the stuff to see where there were vulnerabilities with our ships, to see if they performed this, and a lot of the veterans, if they were involved in that, they would know. You would have gotten a letter about that. So currently, our veterans that served in a theater of operation after 1998, they are also placed into this priority group 6 for 5 years after their discharge date. Priority group 7 is our veterans that are eligible for VA services, but their income is over the national threshold. It's a lot of this income stuff. I don't want to bore you with all of it. I like to speak one-on-one with people about it. And then priority group 8 is our veterans that are eligible for services, but their income is over the the national threshold. So veterans in priority group 8, there's subcategories, and it's basically when they enrolled and what their income is. There are some veterans that are in priority group 8 that are not eligible for services, but that's when we look to see about the catastrophic disability or those other things. And those are our veterans that are in priority group 8G. 8E is a veteran that's income is over, but they're receiving a 0% disability from the VA. We are able to do financial hardships with veterans, so say that their income for last year was higher, but their income now is much lower, then we are able to grant them hardships where they don't, have to pay co-pays for doctor visits. So the VA is comprehensive outpatient and inpatient healthcare. We provide medicine, surgery, psychiatry, physical medicine, rehab, neurology, oncology, dentistry, very limited, geriatrics, extended care, and so much more. The standard package, this is just some of the stuff that we provide. So I'm not going to bore you with all of it, but so one of the major things a lot of the veterans use this for is prescription drugs. With the VA, the veterans could either pay a zero copay, or it's a tiered system of either $5, $8, or $11 based on what the medication is. Some of the limited benefits, we do have home health care, maternity, paternity, dental care is extremely limited. We do provide a lot of medical adaptive equipment in the house.
That's really important. If you're a senior veteran, you can qualify for VA health care. I can tell you, speaking from my own experience as a caregiver for my Korean War veteran father, the lady all the way to the end there, Sharnette Simpson and her team, provided him in-home services that included a hospital bed, special chair, special lift to move him from one place in the house to another, special supplies, adaptive things for the bathroom, et cetera, et cetera. So if you have in your mind, I'm a caregiver, or I'm a veteran who has needs in the home, this is particularly important, these assistive supports through the VA for veterans who want to stay home. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So the VA will actually come in, do a home safety evaluation, and let you know if you need a grab bar in the bathroom, and they'll actually install those for you. Just some of the examples of some of the stuff that we are able to provide. Hearing aids and eyeglasses is another benefit that veterans are entitled to. If they are in a copay required category for eyeglasses, the most it would be is $50. For hearing aids, the most it would be is $150. But that's the most it will be.
For about $5,000 or $6,000 worth of hearing aids, very, very economical for veterans.
So for long-term care benefits, veterans that are enrolled in VA are eligible for a geriatric evaluation, adult day health care, respite care, home care, hospice, and palliative care. Hospice and palliative can either be inpatient or outpatient. So this is where I'm going to pass over to Carrie, because this is just one of our major programs that we have within the facility. It's our caregiver support program, and I'm going to let Carrie go.
Thank you, Joanne DeMarco.
Hi, good morning. I have 4 slides that share just a little bit about the caregiver support program. I just want to say first that I belong to a service of about 80 social workers. So while I'm here today just speaking about the caregiver support program, I would just like to say that if you haven't met with a VA social worker and you think they may be able to help, don't hesitate to call the VA and ask to speak with a social worker. We're in every single program at the VA. Some programs are run by social work, but we have a presence in every program. So please don't hesitate to call for that. So the Caregiver Support Program, our mission statement is to promote health and well-being of family caregivers who care for our nation's veterans through education, resources, support, and services. Any caregiver taking care of a veteran, whether they're service-connected or not, are eligible for support, education, resources. I encourage you to call. I do have my card out there on the table. We hope that the Caregiver Support Program allows veterans to remain at home in their community with their families. We'd like to address specific needs of family caregivers. We have a menu of programs and services that are available. We know what the requirements are for those programs, so we can assist you in referral to those. We want to promote veteran and caregiver health and well-being. We provide one location to obtain needed information. Many times caregivers have a hard time getting the information that they need for their veteran. I say, just call me. I will help get you in touch with the right person, the right people. If you can't get in touch with your veteran's provider, I can help do that. Sometimes extension 4189. No, my card is out there and we'll be here afterwards. A lot of times that's the biggest stressor, is just finding out who the right person is to speak to. So I'm here to help you with that. We provide options to give caregivers respite. Sometimes we're just able to get you in touch with the right people at the right time. So caregiver support coordinators. Right now there's 2 of us, myself and my counterpart, Brandy Carney. We are the clinical experts on caregiver issues and resources. We provide all different kinds of activities. We try to integrate you into the care team with the VA providers. We want to make sure that you have your say when we're working with providers, especially if your veteran can't speak for him or herself. We want to make sure that the providers know that you're there and that you are their voice. We established programming for National Family Caregivers Month. We celebrate you guys in November. So those of you who are caring for your veteran, thank you for everything that you do. You really are the hero. And you don't get enough credit. So we do celebrate you in November. We provide education to caregivers. We have different types of education that we provide. We have education on specific illnesses, specific problems that our veterans are coping with. We also have care for the caregiver. We try to teach you how to take care of yourself, because you are the experts at taking care of your veteran, and we know that, but you're not so great at taking care of yourselves. You put yourselves on the back burner. So we like to encourage that self-care. I tend to just become the cheerleader for the caregiver, make sure that you're going to your own appointments, taking care of yourself, and not neglecting yourself. So last but not least, we can help with the management of caregiver support hotline. Oh, there's a caregiver support hotline. There's a flyer outside. You can grab that as well. They can help you with different things, but ultimately they're going to get you in touch with me. So grab my card instead. We assess for high-risk home situations. We can come into the home and do an assessment and see how we can best help you. We'd like to create a partnership between the caregiver and the VA providers. I said that already. But most importantly, we know that caregiving isolates our caregivers. You tend not to be able to be as social with people who you used to have connections with. You spend more time home with your person. So we want to help get you connected. We run support groups on the telephone. We also run them at Northport. We're trying to be creative in any way that we can to provide that support. Anything that we can do to help you, don't hesitate to call. My card is out front. Carrie Schechner, my name. I'm handing it back to Joanne.
Okay, so this slide is just very briefly on the Veterans Crisis Line. It is important to know that we do have it. All veterans are screened for depression or PTSD. If either screening is positive, then they're screened for a suicide risk. The risk assessments are completed on all veterans in our mental health program, including substance abuse dual diagnosis. We do have a suicide prevention coordinator, Nancy Olson, and a case manager who is Liz Gormazano. If you ever need to, please call. We are here for you. So the home-based primary care program, I'm going to let Charnette come up and speak about that. It's another great program that we have.
Good morning. So my name is Charnette Simpson. I am the Nurse Manager Program Director for Home-Based Primary Care at the Northport VA. So when we talk about aging in place, this is a program that helps our veterans do just that, to stay at home and receive the primary care that they're unable to leave their homes to go and receive. So we have two teams. We have a team that's located at the Northport VA, and we also have a team located in Patchogue that covers the East End. So we cover as far as we go to the Queens border, and we go as far out east as to Shelter Island. So our team is a multidisciplinary team. We have a medical director that oversees the program with myself. We have registered nurses, we have social workers, we have dietitians, we have physical therapy, occupational therapy, and we all make visits to the home to take care of the veterans. So the program is designed for veterans that are homebound, who are unable to leave their home to either go to the Northport VA or to our local CBOC. Now, the service is limited to primary care. We do not provide specialty services, so if they did need to see a cardiologist, they would have to still leave their home. But a lot of different specialties are starting to also make home visits. So with that, as Joe mentioned earlier, our physical therapists and our occupational therapists, when they make the home visit, they do a home safety evaluation. And at that time, that's when they determine what types of equipment the veteran might need in their home, whether it's a wheelchair, whether it's a skylift in their ceiling, if they're truly bedbound, that can move them from their bed to their bathroom. They also help with obtaining grants to have the home modified, if you need the bathroom modified, or if you need a ramp put on the house, front of the house, back of the house. They do a lot of wonderful things in that way. The nurses that make the home visits, they're considered the case managers. They're in the home at least once a month, sometimes more often, depending on the need of the veteran. So they manage the entire care with the veteran at the center of this care. So they manage the medications. We are able to do blood draws in the home. A lot of times our veterans are on Coumadin, so we have to do labs very often, and it is managed by the nurse practitioner. We have the social workers on the team that take care of all the social needs. Again, as Carrie was saying, you know, the caregivers have a lot to deal with, and so the social workers are very supportive in that way and helping them to find resources to help them as they're caring for their loved one. We have the dietitians that go out to the homes. We often have veterans that are diabetics, may have cardiac problems that need to be on a strict diet. So the dietitians are very helpful in that way. And we also have a pharmacist on our team to help manage the medication along with the nurse and the nurse practitioner. So again, it is an amazing program. Like I said, we have 2 teams. We have approximately 272 patients on the program right now. We're looking to grow the program in the coming years. Our information is here. I guess you can see that okay. And so we take referrals. Usually the primary care provider, who is their current primary care provider, will send a consult to HBPC. Oftentimes I get referrals from Joe Sledge if he's out in the community or happens to run into somebody that, you know, is at home and can't get out to see a primary care provider. We will actually go out and take care of the referral that way. So it's a great program. If you have anyone that's in need of home-based primary care, please reach out to us.
So one of the things that's not included with home-based primary care, but is a separate program itself, is our Homemaker Home Health Aid program. So that's where we're providing those home health aides to come in and assist with showering the veteran. They'll do their laundry, getting them dressed, feeding them. They'll make their bed, light things in their house. So this is our home health aid program. Now, most of this stuff is done through referrals. So that would be a referral from their primary care doctor over to the social worker that provides the home health aides. The VA provides minimum of 8 hours, up to, I think it's now 10 or 11. With the more funding we get, the more hours we hope to expand it. But it is a big relief for a lot of people, even just, two days a week, getting those 4 hours so the caregiver is able to go out and either have lunch with a friend or just go shopping or just sit and read a book somewhere. So it's able just to help them and not have to worry about the veteran at home. So the VA, and that is paid for through the VA, so it's not at a cost to the veteran. Another thing we do provide, similar to Life Alert, is we do have those pendants that if the veteran is at home and falls, they are able to push the button and they are contacted. So that's provided at no cost. I know a lot of people pay for that in the community, but if you're a veteran, you can get that from us for free. So the last service that we really provide, which is one of our brand new ones, is VA Video Connect. It's for more tech-savvy people, but anybody can do it. It's pretty easy. And it's either having an iPad or a smartphone, and you're able to see your doctor while you're sitting on your couch. You make the appointment for VA Video Connect, and you can sit there on the couch and have your primary care appointment with your doctor. And they're looking to expand that to some other services as well. So My Healthy Vet is kind of how we manage our program for everybody to on the outside. It's our electronic record. You're able to see your doctor's notes in there. You're able to refill medications, see appointments, and you can actually send emails to your primary care team or any of your doctors that are taking care of you, and they have to communicate back with you. So we kind of wanted to speed through it a little bit. The VA itself has a lot of great services. And there's just so many that the four of us, couldn't possibly remember them all. We tried to touch on everything. There is another benefit called aid in attendance, and that is actually a monetary benefit, and that's for the veteran or the spouse of a veteran, and that's to help assist with either paying for an aide to come in and help, or for placement in an assisted living or a nursing home. I have some of the flyers out at the table about that kind of go into it more specifically. So that's one benefit. If the veteran was receiving compensation, there might be some other benefits. So there are some benefits available, but they're like on a case-by-case basis that we would be able to identify them. Thank you.
First of all, thank you for your comments. If you didn't hear, this kind lady said that her husband passed from Agent Orange related medical conditions, and we're sorry for your loss, sincerely. If you don't know about the presumptive service-connected disabilities associated with exposure to Agent Orange, or water at Camp Lejeune, or ionized radiation, and you're a military veteran who may have been serving where you were exposed to those things, please ask us, and please consider filing a claim for service connection. You did make a very important comment, and I sort of touched on it earlier. You said you had to fight the bureaucracy for some of these services that you ultimately got and are grateful for. I'm sorry you had to fight for them. But this is why I tell veterans, if we're a large organization. We take care of 30,000 plus veterans a year with over 425,000 outpatient appointments. We are limited in some of our resources at times. We have a great new director who is promising to stabilize the Northport VA Medical Center with appropriate staffing and resources. We have a full service team that we haven't had in place for a number of years. So I think that better days are ahead for us. But I would also re-emphasize the importance of, if the VA for most of our veterans is a good thing. Many of the veterans praise the care. We have a 90+% trust rate. The VA processes surveys all the time, and the trust rate is over 90%. We'd like to be 99 or 100%, but when we have disappointed you or not met your expectations, don't walk away. Don't accept no. Fight us, so that we make sure you get the services. And advocate, exactly right. So thank you for your comments. Again, our condolences. You've done a public service just by mentioning that. Thank you for your service, veterans and family members.